Hey guys, happy new year. Myself Trinath. In this video, I would like to tell you how data can be downloaded from web in couple of situations. The simple scenario is you have an URL where the data is available. Just use that URL and simply get the data into Excel. Take a blank Excel workbook or worksheet. So the data can be imported to Excel using the URL from this data and from web. Click on this and provide the URL and get the data into this active sheet as in a tabular format. Just keep the URL here. So simple. Okay. Here it is showing the first 200 rows. If you want, you can transform the data like filtering or picking the columns and all those things. But simply, as you can do it, these things as per your use case. This video is basically, I just wanted to show you how the data can be imported, load to unload. So load to, if you pick it up, you can mention the location where you can place this data in tabular format. Just click on this existing worksheet and give A1. So now this data will be imported as in a tabular format from that web URL. It's so simple. Okay, you got all the data into this. This data is typically the NAVs of the mutual funds in India. Like there is an association of mutual funds in India. So they collect the NAV values, calculate the NAV values every day, and they publish that information at this given URL. And this data is consumed by a lot of investors, vendors, brokers, and everyone, right? So this data, yeah, if you want to get the current and latest data, you can very well use this information. At times, what happens is you want to see the NAV value of a particular fund or all the funds at a given date. Usually, this NAV data will be the history data. They keep it for 90 days. So if you want to pick NAV values from AMF India for any of the last 90 days, you need to query that data from the EMF website by picking the date and selecting whatever mutual funds that you want. Then let us say, for example, you want for a backdated one. This video I am creating on 1st of January 2022. So let us say 19th December if you want to see the data, or 22nd. Click a give, then it will give you the data, the previous data, the NAV values and all that in the TXT format. Let's say if you want to import this data into your Excel sheet. You can do this in the same way as you did for the current values by picking the URL and using the data and from web. But in this use case, what I'm trying to tell you is, let us say if you exactly know the date by using this URL, you can change the date and get for whatever date you want. Like let us say, for example, 21st you want. You can get this, and using this URL, you can import it. But it is a bit troublesome every time you take the data into Excel, right? So you need a way wherein you just give a date, and in Excel it has to be refreshed automatically. For that, what you need to do? So this particular parameter needs to be a variable, and that variable value you supply in the Excel sheet itself. Let us say you supply it here. You give the value, let us say 19th December 2021 here. And for this, you want the data. And the tabular data you just import here. So to do that, actually the way using the data and from web you can use that. Um, but to parameterize that, to give a given to get the data for a given date, what you can do is you can simply use the Excel's record macro uh, functionality. Using that, you can just find out like how the query is getting created, how the what are the connection parameters and all that. The macro will take care. Let us see how it happens. Uh, let us start creating a macro, recording a macro. In this recording macro, you give it a name load for the first time and give some control L. This macro will load the history data for the first time. This you need to execute only once. Later onwards, it should be something like you will be changing the data and refreshing it, and then you will be getting the data for that given date. Let us say now, okay. Now go to data from web and the URL, whatever we had just given for the history data, just keep it here, not this one, this one. So it is picking for the value 21. Okay, you give it for the first time like this. Then I will tell you like how this value can be changed to the value that is there in cell A. Now we are recording the macro, so the code is getting created underneath. Now what we do, we will tell load this data in a tabular format, starting from location B1. So here we say load to and say table and this worksheet and B1 it has taken, save OK. Now it has downloaded the data for the date whatever that we had given in the URL, that is 21st. Okay, it is done. Now I want data for 19th, not for 21st. How can I use this? How can I change this? Okay. Yeah, sorry. Now, as data is downloaded, stop the macro. Now, go and see what content is there in the macro. Okay, so once it is loaded, I have unnecessarily went to that A1 and clicked a couple of times, right? So because of that, these extra rows had come. So I'm deleting it. So here, what it has done, it has created a query, added a new query with the data from this particular URL, and it has taken all the columns that are available there with the data types and everything. And then it created the connection with that data source, and it placed the data as a tab in a tabular format at column B1, and this is the query that is applied on that particular source which is loaded. So it is taking select star means it is taking the entire data. If you want specific columns, you can cherry pick these column names and keep them here in square braces. Here the name query name is created as download nav. You can change this to the name whatever you want. Let us say history. Okay, so the display name also you can change it to history. Now this is how for the first time it is created. But here the part which I am concentrating is the date value which is hard coded here. I want to just get rid of this. And whenever I refresh, I need to get the data for the given date. So how we can do that? For that, what I do, I will write a new function sub refresh. In this refresh, what I do, I will take the date value. How I will take date is equal to active workbook dot active sheet, uh, the value that is available at A1 I want. That is the place where I keep the date value. Once I keep it, then this URL I will form here itself. Okay, instead of keeping the entire URL here, I will take the value from here to here. So let us say URL is equal to this is there. Okay. To add to this, code is actually denoted by ASCII code char34. You add this, and this date value should come here, right? So for that, what you can do is date. This is the string, and you had given this, and here you give one more value. So basically, this char34 will give you quotes for this whole string. Okay, if you see, the first quotes will come till here. Still, the external quotes still remain. For that, we will keep the external quotes from the same place, and we can make use of it. Now URL got created. Okay. Now this history query formula we need to change. So for that, what we do, take this entire history query and copy it over here. Just we need to change that to the URL whatever we just created. But here queries, this for the first time you added it, but from second time onwards you need to access it, right? So queries item is history. Okay, for this history dot formula, you take this. You need to give is equal to, not to colon. First time when you are assigning, you will be giving colon is equal to, but this time, as you are directly modifying this value, you will be giving is equal to, and this URL string you will be replacing that with whatever URL that you had formed. Okay, but you cannot just simply give it like this. So for this, you need to give it like this. Then only that string will be concatenated. Okay, once this formula is modified, what you need to do is you need to just refresh that query. Active workbook dot active sheet dot. So it has this object, right? The query object. That query object can be accessed as objects.one. Now here you do the refresh. That's it. So simple. Now whatever value that you keep in A1, now that will be replaced in the formula, and then onwards it will refresh and it will give you the date for which you want. And for this refresh, you can keep a macro. Let us say give it a control plus R. Okay, this needs to be assigned in the macro place as well. So I will save it later. But for the time being, this one is here and Excel, and in macros, view macros. So refresh, I will edit it and give an option like control R. Refresh the data with the given date at A1. Okay, then cancel it. Now it is done. Now let us do control R as the data available here is for 21st. Now we are refreshing for the data with 19th. So for this what I press control R I will do. Then the refresh code should execute. Control R. Cannot find a query by name history. Okay, that is true. What happened is earlier the query name was different and we changed it. Okay, so for that what we need to do, just stop this one and go here and change this name to history. Let us see, edit. Just change this to history. That's it. Close and load history. Okay, now again press Ctrl R and see what happens. Ctrl R. This history got refreshed. Refreshed with what data? 19th data. So our code worked perfectly. Okay, so this refresh worked, and from next time onwards, if at all you want a history data, just change this date. Sorry, 20 December 2021, and just say Control R, and you will get data for 20. Okay, how this data can be used? I think you very well understood, right? Like for example, the current data is for the 31st December, and the history data I want to check for a specific date, the day on which I invested the money. Okay, so you take the NAV values for that particular day for a particular fund and then compare. You can write further macros or further VLOOKUPs to identify the difference between the mutual funds. So hope this helps you. So this Excel sheet, I can put it in the comment section. You can take it and use it. And if it is useful for you, just give a thumbs up or comment, and maybe we can um, enhance it, or we can discuss if you have any further problems, and then yeah, we can make it as a platform to learn Excel further and better. Yeah, thank you very much. Give a thumbs up if you like it or if you made use of this particular code. Thank you. Bye bye.